In today's episode of the 2D podcast, we're going to be talking about the importance of speaking up, not just in front of others, but for yourself, about voicing your problems so that you can find solutions, clarity, confidence within yourself.
Yes, move forward with courage and confidence.
Yeah, so speak your mind and listen to what?
Yep. Jump into today's podcast.
Hello and welcome to the 2D podcast. I am your host, Adonis Barrera, and I am joined as always by the lovely and sensational Iana Giselle Backlit Alhambra.
Hey, everybody.
How you doing today, Iana?
I'm doing well. How are you doing, Adonis Barrera?
Doing splendid. I always have those little inconveniences of problems that occur in the house, but, it's something that you just have to be like, okay,
Yes.
I'm just going to take care of it when it comes and then move on with your life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. And learn from there.
But how have you been? How's your week been?
I'm doing well. My week is going well. I think I am preparing for a very busy week ahead.
Yeah.
But that just means that we have so much I have so many exciting things coming up on the pipeline.
Right.
So whether it's at work, at home, or whatever, I'm really excited for all of it. So I'm just going to take my excitedness, transform any anxiousness into more excitement, and then carry on. Because I know at the end of the day, regardless of what happens, it's always going to be a success
Right.
and a learning experience.
Oh, yeah.
So that's where we're at. I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Let's go. There's one thing you forgot to say, though, that you forgot to mention.
Oh, gosh.
About your PT. Tell them the good news.
Yes. So great news for personal training. I got through all of the lectures.
Yeah.
Thank you. I am really proud of myself because I set my mind to it.
Let's go.
The part that is a little a detour, I'm just going to say that,
Yeah.
like a little more of a hurdle than I thought it would be, is actually scheduling the personal training test. When I further investigated how to do that whole process, thankfully I already have my CPR and AED certification, so that's great. It is renewed from this summer, but it's just the scheduling portion of it, and then if I have the correct equipment and if I fail it, which God willing I won't.
Yeah.
If I fail it, I'm going to have to wait 90 days and then pay
Another
$100 for the test.
Yeah.
So I'm going to not take the test this Friday.
Right.
So by the time you guys hear it, I wouldn't have taken the test.
And the only reason it was going to be Friday is because that's when you set the deadline for yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So yes, in all of this to say, I'm really proud of myself for committing to studying again more diligently and more with great expectancy and everything, but being more realistic. I do understand now that I have a full scope of the course, which I'm very grateful for. I'm going to be more intentional about going through each chapter and fully applying each of the lessons now, because part of it is the legal and the business side and the marketing and everything like that. So by the time my test comes, I'll already have put together my website, put together my logo, put together all of these things so that when I do complete that certification, I will already be ready to receive more clients.
Nice.
But with that being said, it is going to take me a little bit longer.
Oh, for sure.
But I'm glad and grateful that I have this experience, because even though it's fast forward, I understand sound resources now, so I can do more research for myself and gain the help, the tools, and everything that I need to make sure that I pass it on the first time.
Nice.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. I mean, just because you went through the whole textbook doesn't mean you know everything.
Exactly.
You have to go back, reassess,
Yeah.
and re-soak in that information.
Mm-hmm. And the
Yeah.
beauty of like personal training too is the fact that like it coincides with my mentality of like I'm a forever learner, and there is so much to learn about personal training and like just like the human body in itself. So as I continue to develop more resources and everything like that and read through everything and learn myself, like, yeah, it's just all going to continue to like align further into what I am doing, which is ultimately life coaching, not just personal training. So,
Right. Right.
yes.
Beautiful. Okay. I love it. I love it. Yeah. And I love that you decided to set that deadline for yourself
Mm-hmm.
because that really pushed you. Like
Yes.
this weekend, I saw that hunger in wanting to set aside hours per day to get that done.
Oh, yeah.
And normally, and you're a well driven person, but sometimes when there's not that deadline, when there's not that thing hanging over your head,
Mm-hmm.
you're like, oh yeah, I still got till,
Exactly.
tomorrow, next week, next
Yeah.
weekend.
And just keep pushing like my dreams further away.
Yeah,
No, no, no. I need it right in my face and ready
exactly.
to be
I
tackled.
mean, that's how a lot of us, majority of us are. And as soon as we understand that we need to set some, not just goals, but
Mm-hmm.
some deadlines with those
Yes.
goals, man, we'll be a lot further. That's
Mhm.
that's a fact.
Yes, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, yeah.
Love it. So what's going on in the world of Adonis? How are you doing and how is this week?
It's going pretty well. Going pretty well. Just had my first game this
Woo!
Thursday.
Fall season,
All
baby.
season with that crisp air. Okay.
Oh,
Oh
yes.
man, it was beautiful. It was beautiful. No humidity. My gosh.
That 8 p.m. game.
Good grief. It's so nice.
So
It's
nice.
fire. But it was good. It was good. We lost, which was unfortunate, but there were a lot of positive notes that we could have taken from that game.
Mhm.
I mean, because we lost by one, and we had so many chances to bury them. I mean, the way we played, and there were so many passes that I saw during the game, but I just couldn't execute, you
Mhm.
know? And so, but, I'm going to keep working on my stamina and I'm going to keep working on my finishing touch. That way, that'll help us um, progress a lot more for the coming season. But yeah, all
Yes.
in all, it's just great to be out there back in uniform, baby.
Yes. Let's go.
Yeah, yeah. All right. And so for this next segment of Am I Tripping?
Mhm.
I'm not going to say the city because Iana doesn't want me to say the city, but I will say
Nope.
a city in Northern Virginia. When we go down south a little bit,
Boy.
man, they have some. Am I tripping or do they
There
have
you go.
some terrible drivers?
Yes.
Bro, we were pulling up to a bubble tea place after I filmed the game for one of our
Nephews.
nephews,
Or cousins,
cousins.
depending on who you are.
Yeah,
But he will be my nephew.
yeah, 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 yeah. And it was a lot of fun. Yeah, had a blast. But you get a little thirsty or hungry or whatever
Yeah.
on a hot day. So then we went to Kung Fu near there.
There you go.
And am I tripping or do they have some terrible drivers? I mean, we parked, right? We got our stuff and we were about to dip, but then we see a car stop in the middle of the parking, and it's cramped. Like, you go from, like, you come in and it's an L, and it's
Hmm.
just enough for people to come this way and people to go back out that way.
Yeah.
You know, just a two-way thing.
Mhm.
They would stop in the middle of it, start talking, and there was one of them where they try to, when you reverse park, you have to go out to then come back in.
Yes.
This guy was going out naturally to back into the parking lot, but this lady would like go right up behind him.
She literally, like, as soon as he went out, that's when she started inching her way towards him. And I was like, because she moved, I don't think he has enough space to keep backing up now.
Exactly.
Like, she's about to get hit. And so thankfully, somehow he managed to get his huge car
Truck.
truck,
SUV.
SUV,
Yeah.
into the parking space. And then while he's backing up, she literally
Swerves around him.
swerves, taking that L-shaped turn, and he finishes parking, and then more madness happens. Go ahead.
Because then after he parks, there was a lady that, going pretty much on that opposite side of that one crazy lady that swerved. She stops in the middle. And it's like, what are you doing? And then people are trying to go around, but they can't because she's right there.
Yeah.
And it's like, brush, well, she finally parks in a parking lot and it finally frees up. But I'm like, yo, what is going on? And then there's this guy that almost hit me on my way out.
Well, before that, so as soon as the lady parks,
Yeah.
there was another guy that stopped in front of the people that just finished reverse parking, and then it blocked 3 other people from going.
Yeah.
And then I guess the guy that just finished reverse parking started talking to the guy that just parked, like double parked, basically.
Yeah.
Blocking the other 3 drivers. And then they finally start going. And then what happened when you were leaving?
Oh, yeah. At the light, I was going straight and it's green for me. And this guy, this bozo is like, because they have the light where it's like yield on green.
Yeah.
So they can go on green, but if there's oncoming traffic, they have to wait
Yeah.
and then go. But this bozo just like going at the same time I'm going. I'm like, bro, what are you doing?
Right.
Good grief,
and
man.
that all happened within 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
And
bro.
I was like, get me out of here. Like, I don't know what is happening
Are you
right
sure
now.
I can't name the city?
No, you cannot. Just no.
For those of you, can I give them a letter?
No.
The letter.
You cannot.
Why not?
Because there's 2 in the area of that letter. They're gonna know which one. So, for podcast sake, it's just a city in Northern Virginia, which, while I'm at it, if you're not from Northern Virginia, they're just going to lump us all together.
Yeah.
So we're lumped, whether we like it or not.
I don't like it.
Yeah, I know. Pineapples. Kevin Hart. No, I'm just kidding.
But, yeah, so I guess I'm tripping because I can't even name the city for y'all to judge.
Yeah.
I'm so tempted.
But they're tripping.
Yeah,
they're all tripping.
No, I'm not tripping then. Right, yeah, exactly.
You're not tripping.
All right, for today's discussion, we want to hop into Iana was having a revelation and she was telling me about how, how she's going after the personal training. And not only is she figuring out what she wants to do, because she's always had an idea of what she wanted to do in the future, but it's the confidence that she's gaining. And I'll let her take it away on how she's coming to gain this confidence.
Yes.
And clarity.
So, just a little bit of backstory until I get to my point.
Yeah.
And I'll keep it short and sweet. So basically, I was in a funk the first 3 days of this week. And Sunday night, I actually prepared the food, my bag, all the outfits from working out in the morning to what I'm going to wear at work to what I'm going to wear during teen center hours and everything like that. That's 15 outfits right there. I was like, okay, bet. Those are decisions that I do not have to make anymore. I am
Nice.
ready. But by the time I went to sleep, by the time I woke up, it was already time to get it together and get to work. I didn't even make time to work out. So come Thursday morning, I get off of social media and I put up my phone as if I'm going to do like those video log things, which from here on out, they're going to be called Tiny Talks.
Tiny Talks, like TED Talks.
Yes, like
Nice.
TED Talks, but Tiny Talks, because they're just mini, like, I don't even know if you'll ever see them, but just in case, at least you know what I'm referring to now.
Yeah.
So I put on my phone, like, I'm ready to drive to work. And I just start talking to my phone, and I'm like, okay, I'm Iana, and I say my mantra, and then I just spill whatever is going on in my brain at the moment. And so I got into this flow, and I was like, okay, bet, like I'm finally releasing whatever was up in my brain.
Yeah.
And I feel good. I feel accomplished. Let's go. So now that I released a little bit, let me back it up. So on the subject of finding your confidence to walk in, like we were talking about the last 2 episodes, walking into your authentic self. For me, it was knowing the language that I needed for myself to understand who I am. In the sense of, I took so many personality type tests.
Yeah.
We got all these PTs going around. But I took so many personality type tests, and it's like, okay, why don't you know who you are? No. I know who I am.
Right.
Like, let me elaborate a little bit more. I've been taking personality type tests, like I've said before in other podcasts, since I was like in middle school, because that was when I first took a psychology class. And the first one was like a Myers-Briggs test. I figured out I'm an INFJ. If you don't know what that is, do your homework. And basically it said that I was an introvert, I'm intuitive, I'm feeling, I'm judging, and something else. And there is a lot more to it. And I want to say INFJ is either the advocate or the counselor. And I was like, ooh, I'm both. But I don't know if I want to be an actual high school counselor or a therapist like when I get older. So let me just see where I can grow into.
Yeah.
So that was my very first one in middle school. I think I was in 8th grade.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, cool. I'm trucking along, moving around. High school rolls around. I take the DISC assessment. I know I was a high D when I first took that test.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, cool. I am driven. I know what to speak on when I need to use my voice. I know where I want to go to school, like college. I knew I was going to go to Nova. I only applied for one scholarship, all these things. And I was like, okay, cool. I know where I'm going. College rolls around. I take, this was only like 3 years ago. I take the flight assessment, which is similar to, but not exactly, the DISC assessment.
Yeah.
So when I take it, it says I am a high I flight attendant, meaning
that you're very sociable.
Yes.
That you love to talking to different types of people.
Yes, I fill my cup up by talking to other people.
Yeah.
Which, mind you, it was very contradictory to the middle school me that was an introvert.
Yeah.
So then I did more research and I was like, why do these two change? And it said, you can be an introvert, an extrovert, and an ambivert, which means you're both. I was like, bet. Now I have the language to better understand that I have both qualities of being an extrovert at some point and being an introvert.
Yeah.
And so, fast forward, I go through life, whatever that like took me, and I realize I am very in tune to other people's emotions.
Yeah.
But I also realize when I am in my element, I can adjust how the room feels based on like what type of energy I'm bringing in.
Exactly.
So I was like, ooh, like what is that? So I started reading this book called Empath or like Empath Perspective or something like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, I love it because it helps me understand what an empath is, like a true empath.
Yeah.
And I was like, yep, I align with this book so well. Like, I understand it. And long story short, a little bit more happens, but long story short, when I was doing my tiny talks on Thursday morning, once I started speaking to myself, I was able to understand that I am confident in saying that I am an ambivert. I am an empath. I am an air traffic control. And as soon as I started finding the words that aligned with myself, that's when I carried myself with such confidence. And I was like, okay, now that I know who I am, let me walk with it. And that means as soon as I walked into work and I saw some other people, I was just like, hey, good morning. How's it going? But it wasn't fake anymore.
Right.
It wasn't like pulling so much energy out of me. Yeah, there's going to be days where I'm not going to feel so social, but because I was confident in myself, I was able to share that confidence with the people that I was interacting with.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I was able to stop and have conversation with other people instead of clocking in and going into work and like going straight to my office.
Yeah. But yeah,
Yes.
exactly. With the TED Talks, with the little tiny talks that you do for yourself, it's so crucial that you've had those for you.
Yeah.
Because before, you would unload on the people closest to you.
I would dump.
Yeah, just dump everything. And sometimes that would push us away because we weren't ready to receive that.
Yes.
But because you decided to, you know what, I'm just going to whip up my phone. I'm carrying so much right now. Like I have so much on my mind, so much on my heart that the only way that I could do it is by just spilling it and spilling it and spilling it.
Yeah.
And sometimes journaling isn't enough,
Mm-hmm.
right? Just writing it down isn't enough. You literally physically want to say these things.
Yeah.
And so it's very commendable that you took just the thought of, I should whip up my phone. You did it. You just put it on the side of your car while you drove. Instead of listening to music, instead of holding all that pent up emotion, that raw energy in and making that a ticking time bomb,
Yes.
you decided to, you know what? I'm going to put this out on my phone, not on social media or anything.
Yes.
But because this is just for you. This is just for me.
Right.
You don't, just because you make a video doesn't mean you need to share it now.
Yeah.
This is just for me.
Exactly.
You did that. And then you were able to not only release, but then gain some clarity.
Yes.
Like then you were actually able to process what you just said and be like, oh, it wasn't that bad. Because isn't that what happens a lot of the times? Sometimes you literally call your best friend, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, and you're spilling your guts out. Like you're like, I can't believe they did this. I can't believe they did that. And then you think back because you're talking out loud and you say, well, I could have just came in on time and I wouldn't have had to deal with that. Oh, thanks for talking with me. And you're like, yeah, sure. I mean, I didn't say anything, but but sometimes you just want someone to be there, not to even listen, but just to
get it out,
and speak your mind. It's dangerous to keep those emotions in. It
Yes.
really is because because when it's time to explode, I mean, it could be at the worst possible time. It could be
Yeah.
in front of your boss, and then all of a sudden you're out of a job. It could
Right.
be in front of your boyfriend or girlfriend, and all of a sudden you find yourself single. You
Mhm.
know, and you just really have to be aware that, yo, I have so many emotions, so many thoughts festering in my head that if I don't write them down, if I don't speak them out loud, they're gonna come out. And the way this is going, I can tell I'm not gonna be able to control how I say it. Because
Yes.
when you think deliberately about, okay, I need to tell, I don't know, my sister, hey, you need to stop uh, uh, pushing snooze because you're waking up the whole family every freaking 10 minutes. And she
Yes.
doesn't do that, but just as
I've done it.
okay, I'll tell Iana that.
Yes.
And then, but if I just deliberately say to myself or just think it out loud or say it out loud, I mean, and say, okay, I need to tell her that, and I'll tell her in a soft and polite manner. Then when you tell her, it'll be a lot more controlled and she'll
Mhm.
receive it a lot better.
Yes.
But if you just keep every morning,
Mm.
if you just keep that to yourself every single morning,
Yeah.
and to the point that one day you snap, oh man, your whole day could be ruined.
Even if you think the person knows it, some people, including myself, still need to hear it
Oh yeah,
from the people that they know love them and that they love too,
exactly.
um, or respect or
Like,
anything
you
like
know you
that.
shouldn't be going
Yes.
in late to work. But it's
Yeah.
not until your boss tells you, hey, stop coming in late to work. The next time it's
Yes.
over.
You know they're gonna be 15 minutes early the next day and, like, for
Exactly.
the rest of the week
What
and
changed?
whatever.
It's like, what changed?
Mhm, mhm.
It's just someone saying
Held
it out
them
loud.
accountable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And said it out loud. And it's
Mhm.
like, okay, it's not just in my head.
Yes.
Sometimes that's what we do. It's like, oh, it's just in my head. It's just in my, until someone else, has the
Recognize
courage
it.
to say it. And then they're like,
Yes.
oh, okay, my breath does stink. I should be brushing a little bit better.
Right.
Something
Yeah.
silly like that, or something even more serious, but
Mhm.
that's how it
Yeah.
goes.
On that note too,
Hmm.
this is a side note though. On that note, when we're moving as a society into a different era
Yeah.
where I really do believe that people, especially if you love someone or respect them at the minimum, if you respect them and you see them going into the fire or going down a path that you really don't agree with,
Hmm.
use your voice to tell them, hey, I don't know if you are aware of this, but I see some patterns that I don't agree with. Take it or leave it, but I'm recognizing it and I can tell that you're feeling some type of way. So if you need any support, even if you can't support them in the way that they need it, help them look for the support that they need.
Yeah.
Because I really think that like people need to be steered in the right direction with knowing that other people support them or
Right.
like care for them. Like that's a common courtesy that like we need to normalize. Like as a society, like help when you see it. When you see something strange, like say something, please.
Yes, please. I mean, not just in a society, within your own family, bruh.
Yes.
Sometimes I mean, I'm not gonna name any names,
No.
but was telling me about, how some people get spoiled. And it's like
Yeah.
everyone sees it, but you know, the the ones closest to the one getting spoiled.
Mhm.
But because you don't want to ruffle any feathers, you'll let that, kid grow up that way. And then all of a sudden you're wondering why, they're messing up. You're wondering why they're always finding themselves into trouble. But it's
Yeah.
because you never spoke up to that kid, you
Yeah.
know? I mean, I was telling Iana, bruh, if that was my family, I would have told the kids straight,
Yeah.
and I would have told the people in
Whoever.
charge, yeah,
Mhm.
straight.
Yeah.
Because it's like, come on, man, like, what are you doing?
Right.
It's not even about, them being annoying to everyone else or being disrespectful to everyone else.
Mhm.
It's about the kids' well-being
Yeah.
themselves. Like, if they keep going down this path, what do you think is going to come out of it?
You are raising kids. Like, that is your role as a parent, is to raise them. So disciplining them out of love
Yeah.
is your job.
I mean,
We are not parents, so take that for what it is. But we still know, like, one day when we have kids, we are going to discipline them because we're not raising no fool.
yeah.
Like,
Look, man,
no.
not even just with kids.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that Iana said this, and that's probably going to be the title of the podcast, is using your voice. Like,
Yes.
start to like the sound of your own voice.
Yes.
Because sometimes you need to tell not just kids, not just family members, but friends. If you truly care about your friends,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you have to tell them what's what.
Yeah.
My friends have told me straight up and have roasted me about the weight that I was gaining,
Yes.
and
Mm-hmm.
if it wasn't until, I promise you, it wasn't until they said something that I was like, man, bump this. I am paying someone for a
Yeah.
conditioning program
Workout
to
routine,
it-
regimen.
to get myself together. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm still working out,
Mm-hmm.
it's still taking time and process. But before that, I wouldn't even say I was in denial.
Mm-hmm.
I was unaware that I picked up weight.
Yeah.
Like, I was unaware that, I was eating a lot more and not working out as much.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until they said all of that in the at the time it hurt. At the time it was like, why would you be saying this? At the time it was like, why are we not friends? Why
Right.
would you,
That's out of pocket.
yeah, why
Like,
would you
yeah.
dog me out? Like,
Mm-hmm.
come on.
Mm-hmm.
It's like embarrassing, you're hurt,
Right.
it's painful.
Yeah.
But if it wasn't for that, I still think that I would be unaware,
Mm-hmm.
let alone actively doing something about it now.
Yes.
I'm talking about, and what about me? Like, my health. Like, I'll probably be eating just the same.
Mm-hmm.
I'll probably be getting bigger. I'll probably be gaining more pounds than I am losing
Yeah.
it every week.
And guess what? You're still friends with them.
Oh, dude. Yeah, you know what I mean?
If not closer
If not
than it
closer.
was.
Like, you respect them a lot more for saying that. I mean, they could have
Right.
not roasted me.
Right.
Could have just told me.
Yeah.
But, I mean, would it have had the same effect? Probably not. Would I have gone out the very next day and paid $100 and some for just the workout program, not even a trainer?
Right.
I don't think so,
Right.
So you have to use your voice. I mean, and sometimes you can't wait for your friends to say it. Just say your problems out loud.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Because I swear,
the
man,
self-awareness.
I don't want to swear, so I don't swear. But I promise you, we fantasize about what our lives really look like. We fantasize about
Mm-hmm.
the cause of our problems. We romanticize them, pretty much putting them on everyone else, but never yourself. But
Right.
when you speak your problems out loud, and I'm not saying to speak out all your problems, but voice them.
Mm-hmm.
Take inventory of what's actually going on in your life.
Yeah.
Why is it that people don't mess with me? Why is it that I'm always the last one to know about these things?
Right.
Why is it that I'm just not being invited to places, or that I'm always the last one picked for the team?
Mm-hmm.
Why is it? And sometimes we want to blame it on him, her, or anybody, but
Take responsibility.
it's not until we voice our problems that we're able to clearly see, oh, this is what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's not even a big issue.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's just that you're like, for example, myself, sometimes I'm just more focused on my goals and I'm more focused on my own interests and hobbies. I don't really take the time to hit up friends like that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Yana knows,
Yeah.
like, sometimes some old friends, when they see me, they're like, hey, how have you been? Let's go out. And I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah. And I mean it. But then sometimes I forget because I'm so consumed and wrapped up in the podcast and making YouTube videos and finding client work
Mm-hmm.
that it slips my mind.
Yeah.
And when I made that realization, I was like, oh, okay, this is why I saw them in the store and went paintballing, but I wasn't invited,
Mm-hmm.
and because I know that, I don't get hurt.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like, okay, it's understandable.
Yeah.
Like, but because I know that, I'm confident in myself, I'm comfortable with myself,
Mm-hmm.
that I'm gonna continue to do the work.
Yes.
And if I do ever want to go out, then I can easily just hit them up
Yes.
because I know that the only reason they didn't invite me is because they they haven't heard from me.
Right.
So
Right. They don't. They already extended that olive branch, but because it wasn't received, like now the ball is in your court.
exactly,
Oh.
and because I was able to like say that out loud,
Mm-hmm.
I was able to see like, okay, it's not that they don't like me. It's not that,
Right.
we're not grooving or meshing. It's
Yeah.
just that I've set my priorities, and through my actions, they saw that it's not that I don't like them. It's just that I'm focusing on this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
there's a chapter for everything. Like, I really do believe that, like, everyone that comes into our life is either there for, like, a lesson or a blessing or anything like that. And even if they don't move on with you to the next chapter or anything like that, there's um, no hate or anything like that. There's still respect for each other,
Yeah.
but this is where our paths have led us to right now. And there's nothing wrong with that. Who said we're not going to meet again in chapter 32 or whatever? Like, it's okay.
Exactly.
Embrace where you are. And oh, this part. So embrace where you are so that you can fully understand the scope of your reality, in the sense of I was able to understand. um I already took you guys on my journey from Thursday. Like, I did my tiny talk in the
Yeah.
morning. I moved throughout my day very fluidly. Like, it does not mean that it was a perfect day. Like, I was able to like take whatever hits that I had to. But at the same time, I was fluid and open to where my day needed to go and still accomplish everything that I needed to. So I was proud of myself.
Nice.
But your girl was exhausted.
Yeah.
So by the time I laid my head down Thursday night, like, I knew my body needed that release. So by the time my head hit the pillow, just like tears rolled down my face, but I wasn't sad. I did not accept the fact that I was like crying. I was just like, no, my body is doing what it knows it needs to do so that I can fully rest from the day that I had. And I didn't accept um the fact that like I was sad or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
No, my body needed to release, and then I was able to get a really good night's sleep. I wasn't like sobbing or anything.
Yeah.
It was just tears rolled down my face. That's all. And I was like, we're okay.
Yeah.
Because I was in that mental state of like, I'm fully content and I'm so proud of myself for getting through my day the way that I did, and so proud of myself for being able to compare myself to this time last year, compare myself to this time 2 years ago, 3 years ago or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
And I was like, look how far I am.
Let's go.
Like, I'm so proud of myself, and I'm still learning and growing, but it took me a long time to just get here.
Yeah.
And accept and be aware of where I am.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, cool. It's looking up.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
I'm ready for the next day. And that's how I ended up going to sleep. So when we say be aware, like, that's the whole confident component of it. Use your voice, speak up and speak life. Like, your voice has so much power that when you speak true life into yourself, don't just say, like, I'm going to have a good day.
Right.
Say, I am going to have a good day. You can
Right.
tell when I can believe it,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
Speak life. That's what we mean by speak life into you, what you're going to, quote unquote, manifest into your life and
Exactly.
everything.
Instead of saying, I'm doing this podcast and I really hope it kicks off. Like, no, I'm working on this podcast and I'm going to do it so well that it's bound to kick off.
Yes.
I don't know what day, but it will. You know, and all the little adjustments that I need to make, I will learn and I'll adapt and I will
Yes.
implement. And I will get this podcast to where it needs to be.
Exactly.
And that's how you truly believe it. It's not that you say, I believe in myself, one day I'll make it. It's too broad. It's too general.
Yeah.
That's what I mean when I say you romanticize about where you are. You romanticize about getting to that destination.
Yeah.
It's so broad, but because it's all in your head, you think it's so sweet. But then when it's time to put in the work in the real world, you're just drawing blanks. You're like, what do I do? You know? It's like you don't think to say, I'm gonna make an outline that is gonna make such a great podcast. That's gonna make it so interesting. I'm gonna learn editing so not only does it run smoothly when I post it, but also our voices sound crystal clear and have a nice presence and bass to it.
Yes.
I'm going to make sure that I learn a little bit of lighting so that way we're not out here in total darkness or we're not just washed out by the regular ceiling light.
Right.
And before even that, it's like I'm going to learn this stuff. And even though I might not get it at first, I might not get what EQing is, I might not get what a high pass filter is. But the more that I study this, I know I will grab it. Even though I'm frustrated now, I know I'm going to grab it. And just the mere fact of you saying that out loud is what gives you the confidence. That's how Iana was able to gain that confidence. First, by taking all these tests and gaining the terminology
Yes.
about herself to then say it out loud. And then she's able to now go clearly in one direction because she's spoken it out of these are the problems that I have. And now that I've said them, let me marinate on them and let me quickly shift my attention to the solution.
Yes.
The solution being giving myself that time. The solution being putting the phone in front of me to speak to that phone instead of putting others in a negative spot with my raw emotions. And then just speaking out on my goals and the complexity of them and then breaking them down to immediate steps.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. And the word that popped in my head when you were saying that was courage. Giving yourself the courage to be yourself. I think we already have a podcast on having the courage to be yourself. So I'm not going to go too deep into that, but I do want you to, if you're just starting on this journey, definitely listen to older podcasts so that you can better understand how we're getting to the places where we're going, because we're putting so much intention into first the hope that we had to even start the podcast and the hope that we had to, or the hope that we have for the life that we want. We're actively pursuing our dreams right now.
Yeah.
And as many blocks that come into play, we are solid and are unwavering because we know it's going to pay off.
Right.
Because we're so diligent and meticulously going about each step so that we can make it to the next step. Like we said too, like you don't need to see the whole big picture in order to take that next step.
Right.
If you can't see, if you don't know where you're going, look within first. And I think someone, I don't remember what his name is, but he said he just kept saying, I'm growing down, not growing up, meaning he's growing more into himself. And I love that because I was like, yeah, like that's what gave me the confidence to better understand who I am is because I'm growing into who I am. And as I grow deeper into myself, I'm able to grow up and understand what my responsibilities are, what I can contribute to the world, what God-given gift I have so that I can use it for other people.
Exactly. Growing the trunks, the roots before growing
The branches.
The branches. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. That was fuego.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to today's episode of the 2D podcast. You guys can find us on our Instagram page on 2D pod. That's TOODEEPPOD. That's at Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
You can find us on Apple Podcasts,
Mm-hmm.
Spotify Podcasts,
Mm-hmm.
and on YouTube under my name, Adonis Barrera.
Yes.
And this is Iana Giselle. And we also have personal Instagram handles that you can follow.
Mm-hmm.
Because soon enough, I've already started to post, encouragement, advice, and tips.
Mm-hmm.
And then Iana,
Yes,
someday
I
soon.
will have our Facebook accountability group. Hey, that is my Q3 goal,
Yeah.
and I have 2 weeks to get it together. So now that I have my personal training certification, like under wraps, basically,
Almost, yeah.
almost under wraps. But I have a bigger plan for that now.
Yeah.
Now I can fully dedicate to our Facebook group.
Hey,
So
okay.
stay tuned. If not the next episode, then the one after that.
Okay.
So I won't leave you guys hanging, I promise.
DM her.
Yes.
Push her.
Yes,
Come on.
I need the accountability,
Yeah.
please.
Yeah.
So that one is very exciting. And will be our next new baby.
Oh, yeah. Like I said, thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you found any value at all in this episode, leave a review.
Yes,
share it with someone
please.
that you know needs to up their voice, and so they could start living a better life.
And there's value to be held.
Exactly.
Like, share, and subscribe, please.
Oh, yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next week.
Stay safe, everybody.
Bye.